Welcome to our Fast Financials for Nonprofits. My name is Eric Vigasa. I'm a pre-sales solution consultant here at Boyer & Associates. I've been with Boyer for about 14 years. I've worked with ERP systems for about 25 years. 20 of those years, I would say I've been working with nonprofit organizations specifically. So what we're going to show you today, just pull up our agenda, is we're going to do a overview of our Fast Financials for Nonprofit offering that we have for new Business Central clients. So we're going to look at a Business Central overview, kind of just in general, in case some of you aren't familiar with it. So how do we log in? How do we navigate? Things of that nature. And then we'll hop into the modules that we include with our Fast Financials. So you'll see we include some predefined setup with general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, banking, and then we'll end with some reports that we have. So we've got some canned reporting options as well as some dashboards that we offer. Again, in case you're not familiar with us, a little bit about Boyer. We were the winner of a 2023 Microsoft US Partner of the Year Award. So we were very proud of that. I think we competed with 700 or 800 fellow partners. We were founded in 1994, so we are celebrating our 30th birthday this year. We are headquartered in Minnesota, but we do have consultants across every time zone in the US. This is actually a little outdated. We are probably over 500 active clients right now, and 1 out of every 5 of those clients is a nonprofit organization. So again, it is something that we are very focused on and committed to as an organization. And real quick, again, just some of our solutions and services on the ERP side. Everything we do is Dynamics related. So we do Business Central, the larger finance and supply chain management. There is a larger fundamentals powered by Business Central product that we can look at as well if you have a lot more encumbrance accounting, fund accounting needs, maybe stronger allocations and workflows. So that is not part of our Fast Financials, but what it is, again, part of our nonprofit offering that we have in there. And then some of the old legacy products, the Navision, GP, SL products. We do full CRM, we do the full Power Platform, and then again, Cloud for Nonprofits. So we do offer fundraising and engagement, constituent management, volunteer management, program delivery. Again, all of that is outside of our Fast Financials packaging, but that is definitely something you could add down the road. So if you do need some more controls or processes around those areas, we'd be able to help you. So that, let's just hop into the system. Pop up BC here. Let me just launch a web browser. So again, Business Central is a total cloud-based product. All you need is an internet connection and a web browser. I'm in Microsoft Edge right now. The main reason is I'm just signed in with my domain account, my work account. Business Central is browser agnostic though, so you do not need to use Edge. You can use Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever you're comfortable with. The reason I start with Edge is I can bookmark Business Central if that's how I want to connect to it, but I'm actually going to go into all of my apps here because I'm already signed in to my Microsoft account. I'm going to pull up all of my apps, and here you're going to see Business Central actually sits alongside with my Excel. It sits with my Outlook, with my Teams in here. So Business Central is just an app in the Microsoft 365 environment. So if I click on Business Central here, it's going to pop up this little message here. So I could sign right into my production or part of Business Central. I actually get 3 sandbox environments that I can set up and maintain. So if we onboard some new accountant and we want them to do some training in a sandbox environment, we can keep them out of production. These are completely separate from a production environment. I'll just go ahead and sign in here. Again, first thing we're going to look at is just some user navigation, and then we'll hop into exactly what Fast Financials is going to offer you, what that entails. So some user navigation here, you can see my company name, Nonprofit Fast Financials. Again, this is going to be your company name. Whenever I click on this company name, I'm going to come back to this home page. So this home page is really designed for me to do my day-to-day activities. So a couple of things with navigation, I've got these drop-down menus. So if I click on finance, here's everything GL related. Cash management is everything banking related. So I'm able to receive grant payments, or maybe we're doing facility rentals. I can process vendor payments here, able to run my bank reconciliations. We include the sales module, so I can set up my customers. I can process, again, facility rental or grant invoices, or if there's any kind of a revenue collection you need to do, we're able to process those invoices. Purchasing side, I can have my vendors do my purchase invoices. Again, you will see in here we do have quotes and orders. So if you decide to start growing your organization and you want to actually do some requisitions or some purchase orders, that functionality is in the system. It's not part of our base package, but it's definitely something we can add in at a later date if you're interested in that. And really, same with all this functionality in here. Even just point out a Shopify integration. So we definitely have some nonprofits who are selling T-shirts or mugs or lapel pins or something of that nature. If that's up on Shopify, we can have a built-in integration for that. So those transactions coming into Business Central, again, not part of that core package, but something we can definitely add in the future. So beyond those two drop-down menus, I can bookmark any page in the system as well, including reports. If I'm running an aging report frequently, I can click on that. Here, I'll just go into my vendor page. So this is taking me into a list view. You're going to see these list views all throughout the system, whether I'm looking at vendors or GL transactions or open unreconciled bank transactions. I get this list view. Few things I can do in this view. One thing, I can actually click on a search, and if I'm trying to find a specific vendor, maybe I'm trying to find, the law firms we work with, I can type that in. It's going to find that vendor ID. I can set up filters in here as well and save those views. So if I just want to kind of quickly filter out who do we owe money to, I can click on that and it's going to show me this vendor view here. I can always toggle back to my all, and then I can change sorting as well. So if I want to see vendor by balance, I can click on that. I also have the filter option here where, again, I can filter on any field that I want. If I want to expand some of this page, I can close that filter view down and be back in this view. All of these views, I've got this little icon up here as well where I can do one of these 4 actions. So I can just dump this data out to Excel. I can actually edit this data in Excel, or I could share this through Teams. So if I just, for example, pop open the edit in Excel, let's go ahead and open this file up. Once I click enable editing, what it's going to do now is authenticate my user, Eric Vigasa. Do I have rights to make changes to my vendor data? Once I get signed in, I'm now using Excel as my user interface with Business Central. So now I can start changing things. Maybe I need to mass update our vendor names. Maybe I have the balance field here. You can actually see balance here is a red read-only field. So there are definitely some fields in here that are audit sensitive that I can't change. If I come over here to phone numbers, for example, I've got the wrong number in here. I can drop in, it's 4315 is where my Boyer number is. Once I've made those changes, I can click publish, and it's going to push that up into Business Central. So this edit in Excel, you will see this all throughout the system, including posted documents. With posted transactions, it's very limited on what you can modify. But if I refresh this page, we're going to see this contact phone number for Kara is going to get updated. Bring that up here. So there's that phone update. If I were to drill back on balance, so we've got a few open invoices here on Boyer. I can click on that balance. It shows me their invoices. The red is an indicator it's past due. Maybe I want to drill all the way back into a specific invoice. So here looks like we have some consulting services that we sent off to this nonprofit company from Boyer. Hasn't been paid yet. If I'm looking at this document, maybe I want to send this to our AP person and just say, hey, why is this not paid yet? So even at the transaction level here, I've got this little icon, and this is actually where I could share this with Teams. So if I click that share with Teams, it's going to pop up my Teams dialog box here. In this case, Jeff is maybe my AP person, so I can put Jeff in here, say, why is this not paid? And go ahead and share that off. Close out of here, pop into Teams. And so here now Jeff gets this notification. So now Jeff can go ahead and click on this details button, and it's going to now redirect Jeff into this specific document within Business Central. So now I'm using Teams as my user interface to Business Central. Still has security. So if I sent this to somebody accidentally that doesn't have access to this page, they're not going to be able to get in here. But now Jeff is able to come in here and look and see the attachments. Maybe he could say, dispute with charge, and add that comment down here. Maybe the notification was, hey, Boyer, billed us an error. go ahead and initiate a credit memo. So I have full Business Central capabilities in here, even though I'm looking at this through Teams. And then, of course, I can have a dialogue in Teams on this transaction. So again, just a way for us to share data across the organization and be able to have a conversation on specific transactions within the system. Right. Let's click back here, click back on my company name. Just kind of the last few things on here is I've got these queues, so I can actually see some grants receivable on here. I can see we only owe $6,000 to our vendors. Both of those are good, showing up as green. I can click on either one of these and see the details behind here. So here it's showing me all of my open AP. I come down here a little bit further. I've got some dashboards in here as well. So again, an aging report. Maybe I actually want to look at it by grant. I could flip this over and pick a different chart. Do my receivables. I can see everything is past 12 months. Again, I can drill on that and see that specific transactions making up that amount. Get out of this view here quick. So there's my two open AR invoices. All right. Oh, real quick, I should mention, if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to raise your hand. You can put anything into the Q&A or the chat. We'll take questions as we go along and also at the end. And we've got a couple of people, Katie and Kara, are both kind of monitoring that chat. So please feel free to ask questions as we're moving along here. All right, so some of the functionality that we are going to include in this Fast Financials, again, the idea is we want to get you up and running quickly on Business Central off of your existing system. So if I pop into the chart of accounts, this is going to be the pre-built chart of accounts that we're going to provide for you. So of course, the balances won't be here. That's just some sample data, but we will give you this chart of accounts with some net assets in here, some revenue accounts, some canned expenses. Once this chart is loaded, if you need to create a new account number, very easy. You can just click new here. It'll let you assign an account number. You can assign how it's going to be handled at year and close. And then we do have in here real quick. And then we do have some account categories here as well. Where I can further group where is it going to show up on my chart of accounts, and then a subcategory as well. And you can define these subcategories. This is just, again, a more detailed breakdown, and we can use these subcategories for reporting as well. So I would be able to group some of my expense accounts based off of that information I put in there. Looks like I've got a couple of errors here. Oh, so there's my error message. The number I typed in already exists, so it's not going to be able to set up a new account. So that's fine. I'll just discard these changes back into my chart of accounts here. So what Business Central does is actually uses dimensions to expand this chart of accounts, and we will preload a couple of dimensions as well. So dimensions is one of those areas I don't go to very often. It's a setup page. I do have access to it. So what I'm actually going to do is click on this looking glass here in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm just going to type in dimensions. So this is showing me on my current page, I've got some dimensions set up. I've got some additional pages around dimensions. I can run dimensional reporting as well if I wanted to. So I'll just come into my dimensions here. So again, these are going to be our two predefined dimensions that we'll set up. You certainly be able to set up additional ones if I wanted to. So if I want to just type in a new code here and track something like maybe a program or a project, department, what have you, I'd be able to do that. What we're going to load in here, though, if I just come into my dimensional values, is a way for us to categorize expenses. We've got administration, fundraising, and program services, and then ways to track funds as well. So if I come into my values here, I've got all my different restrictions, unrestricted funds. Again, maybe this is where I want to put grants in here as well for a grant code. Able to do that. So what these two values now allow me to do is start tagging transactions in the system to a functional expense code and a fund code. So if we look at that, let me just go into my journal entry screen here. Pop into my journal entry. So this is how we can record journal entry. So I could come in here and maybe I need to record something to an expense. I can actually just start typing expense in and it's going to filter this list out. So I want to go ahead and book something to my other expense. It's going to be $1,000. And now here's where those dimensions are. So I could grab my fund, say it's unrestricted. The expense code is for administration. If I want an additional comment on here, I certainly could. Then I could go to the next line and start coding in the offsetting side of this entry. Maybe it's a split expense entry. I could record that in here as well. If I click on the fact box here, you can see I also have places where I would be able to attach supporting documentation here. So again, attachments are all throughout Business Central. So if I need to have some kind of a supporting Excel file or a PDF document, or even if it's a JPEG file, I'd be able to attach that in here. All of these grid views that I'm looking at as well, I can actually copy and paste into here from Excel. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that entry. Let me pull up my Excel file here. So I've got this payroll entry that I've defined. With the copy and paste, really the only rule is just make sure your Excel document lines up with your page in Business Central, which I have here. This is critical because we can give users the option to personalize these pages. So if a user is deciding, I don't really care about this account description, I just care about the account number, or I actually want comment further over to key that in, users can come up to this personalize, and here's where they can start moving things around. So maybe I want to mount there instead, or I never code to the functional expense code. I want to go ahead and hide that. We have controls to really lay this out the way I want to see it as an end user. You definitely can lock this down though. So if you don't want people to be able to personalize the screen, we want to lay it out as organizationally, this is how it needs to look. You can certainly do that. But if I come here, I'm going to go ahead and copy these cells. Come in here and paste this in. You can see document number is blank and does have a red because that's a required field. I want the system to define that next document number. So I wasn't going to try to import or paste that in. So I'm just going to click renumber here. Go ahead and say yes. I'm going to expand this out, and I actually do want to add that Excel file in here as well. So I'm just going to do an attach. I can come in here and say this was my payroll entry. You can see it's just a drag and a drop. And now I've got that Excel file tied to this document in Business Central. And if I want to now, I can preview the posting and look at the impact of the transaction. So this transaction is actually creating two sets of transactions in the system. One is going to update my GL. You can see I've got this offset to cash here, my credit to cash. The second entry it's going to create is actually the bank entry as well. So Business Central does bi-directionally post in the system. So now I've got this $30,000 withdrawal that I would be able to reconcile in the future against my bank statement. All right. Let me also go look at some GL entries as well. So I'm going to come into here. I've got a shortcut on the general ledger entries. So again, another list view here. This is showing me all the GL entries that I posted. If this is what I want in Excel, I could dump it out to Excel. If I wanted to filter to certain account numbers, so in this case, maybe I want to filter off to a different project or something, or maybe I want to see my expense accounts. I could set up that filter, look at a specific posting date. So I just want to look at January transactions, for example. It's not the year 31. So it's filtered that list down, be able to export this out, what have you. Let's go back to, let me just clear that view down. So this is also something very, very new to Business Central. Really came out in the last few, days for me, maybe weeks. It's still in a preview mode. So this Microsoft hasn't kind of officially rolled it out. I think they're still doing some fine tuning with it. But this is actually Copilot. In this view here, and really any view, I can actually start prompting Copilot to take actions for me. So if I go ahead and click on this Copilot, I want to analyze this list. What I want to do is actually look at this by year and then break it down by fund. So I can tell Copilot to say, group by year and fund. So I'm prompting Copilot to take action. Go ahead and click generate. What Copilot's now going to do is essentially create a pivot table for me of this Business Central data. So I can now do some further analysis of this information. So there it is. So it created that view for me, year and fund. I can go ahead and say, yep, keep that. That's what I wanted. And if I expand this out now, I can see my 2024 and my different funds that I have. I want to take this a step farther. I actually want to look at this just as expenses. So I want to see what expenses have we posted by fund. So on this view here now, I can click on my filters. I can look at account number and say, I just want to pull in all of my accounts that start with a 6. Now it's filtered that list down to just those accounts. Come over here, expand that down. So now I've got all my different funds and all the different expenses. If this data is information I want in Excel, I can certainly do that. If I'm looking at this and I decide, I'd actually really rather have by fund and then by year, all I have to do is come back up to my columns here and I can just, like in a pivot, change that hierarchy. And now we're doing it by fund. Click on a fund, and now I've got it by year. So this is what I'm looking for. I want to go ahead and save that change that I just did. Actually, I think it already saved for me. If I want to get out of this view, I just need to toggle off of that analysis view. And now I'm back to this traditional view of all my different kind of transactions. So again, you're going to see Copilot wrapped all throughout the system in Business Central. All right, next thing we're going to offer is the vendors and the purchasing module as well. So if I come into my vendor list, we'll be able to bring vendors in for you. If I need to onboard a new vendor again, I can just click new here and start entering that vendor. I'll just go ahead and pop into Boyer. We'll look at some of the setup of Boyer. So I've got standard information, address information. I would be able to associate an image if I want. Again, attachments, notes, all throughout the system. Then I've got basic information on tax registration ID. So we could track 1099 information if that's what the vendor is. Payment information, so payment terms. We can set up custom payment terms in the system as well if we need to. Payment method codes, maybe we always pay them by ACH or by check. We'd be able to put that in here as well. Off of these vendor records, you can see on this fact box here, I do have balance information. So if I want to just kind of quickly drill over and look at their balance, I'm able to do that. So a lot of different kind of information available to me on this vendor record. If we want to process invoices, I can come into my purchase invoice page here. Go ahead and do a new invoice. So now I can start creating a vendor transaction. So again, if I know it's Boyer, I can start typing in the vendor name. If I'm not sure who my vendor is, I can do a lookup here, and I've got search capability. So again, I need to record it to my office supply store, find that vendor record, put it in, and now I can start recording my GL account. So it needs to be my office supplies, grab my office expense, collapse that down here quick. We'll do $100. And then maybe I actually want to split this out to another miscellaneous expense. I can have a miscellaneous. We'll do other expense. And another $700 there. And here you can see those dimensions again as well. So I can code this to my fund. Unrestricted. That one's unrestricted. And then my expense code, this is both for administration. Put an invoice number. And now at this point, again, if I wanted to preview the posting, I certainly could, but I can post this transaction. Oh, looked like I had an issue here. I forgot the quantity. There we go. Post this transaction then, say yes. Now I just created another open AP document against the office supply store. Similar on the GL side, another option, if I actually want to, again, upload journal or purchase invoices into the system, I can actually do a purchase journal. So if I come into my purchase journal page, this is again something similar to a journal entry. So again, all I need to do is come in here and grab this Excel file. Just need to make sure my Excel file is lining up with my page, which it is. I can then grab these lines, copy them, paste this in, renumber, and now I will preview the posting. So I get an error message. It's actually telling me that this purchase invoice number 1022 already exists. So it is doing a duplicate invoice check at the time of posting. So I actually want to try to find, where was that original invoice? So again, I can come over here to Copilot. And now instead of using Copilot on that very specific page, I can actually use Copilot across the entire Business Central. So I can say, look up vendor entry 1022. Go find that entry for me and execute it. It's going to start searching through the system. This is the piece where I think as this matures, we're going to see this speed up quite a bit, but they're now found the original transaction. So I can actually see that it does exist. It was posted. I can see the due date on here. If I want to drill back and go look at the original entry, I can drill back into here and see, okay, that does look like the entry. Anytime I'm at a transactional level entry, whether it's AP, banking, GL entries, there's going to be this find entries. This find entries is actually going to show me every touch point this transaction had. So I can actually go look at how was it coded. And I can see, yeah, this is the exact same entry that I was trying to process. So I don't want to put this in here again. So again, you can see how Copilot with prompts is actually helping me search through the system or just do some tasks for me within Business Central. All right, so this is the wrong entry. I could go ahead and delete it. If I need to change the document number, I certainly could. Then I'd be able to post. Same thing, if I want to put an attachment on here, certainly be able to do that. Right. Come up to cash management. If I want to now actually pay my vendors, I can come in here and do check payments. Let me just delete these here real quick. And we'll kind of walk through and redo this piece. So I'm going to do is suggest vendor payments. So I'd be able to put a due date cutoff in here. Maybe I want to pay everything that's due today. I want to post it as of today. I'd be able to put in any kind of filter. So maybe there's certain groups of vendors that we want to pay or just certain dates or certain balances. I'd be able to do that. If I just expand show more here as well, I can pick what kind of payment do I want to process. So Business Central does include the ability to do ACHs and computer checks. If I've already wired the money to the vendor, or maybe the vendor's already done some kind of an auto pay, I could record it as a manual check as well, just to get in the system. So we've got some options here. Just going to do computer check, hit OK. System's going to go through, found all my different vendor payments that I have in outstanding. I'd be able to come in here and actually look at what invoices are these paying. So this one check is going to pay off these two past due invoices. So from this point, I'd be able to generate my check. If we printed something in error, I could void that individual check before they actually go out in the mail. And then again, I also do have the ability to generate my ACH file as well. So these were not ACH transactions, but I could generate that ACH file. And I would also be able to send a electronic remittance document to my vendor as well if I needed to. All right, AR side, very similar. So again, AR is optional. If you are using something else for tracking grants or fundraising and all you're really doing is book and journal entries, absolutely can. But we do include this where I would be able to set up some customers or some people that we're getting grants from. Again, same functionality. I can search, sort, filter, export this to Excel. If I go look at a specific customer, got some of my customer information that I can set up in here as well. And again, it's got balance information, so I can drill back, see all the open grants that we have. We have a $50,000 grant sitting out here for this particular customer. Come and enter a new grant. I can come into my sales invoices. So same thing on the purchasing side. I could key in a transaction here for a certain grant if I wanted to. Again, if it's one of those things where I'd like to do more of a copy and paste, I've got the ability with that sales journal as well. If I come into my sales journal, same concept as the purchasing journal side of things. So this is how I could just get transactions in the system, post them through, and then be able to track kind of that open AR on my system. Just like on the AP side, I've got my cash receipts in here. So this is where I'd be able to enter in the customer number, the dollar amount that we received from. So maybe we've got looks like I got a little something on my setup here where I don't have a balance account on my checking, but this is where I would be able to put in that we've received a payment, the customer number on here, the dollar amount, and then I would be able to apply this to a specific AR invoices if I needed to. A couple last things I want to show is banking. So we'll include the banking module as well. So we'll be able to set up my bank accounts here. So you'll be able to set up your bank account, be able to have that tied to my cash account. Off of this bank account, then I can do my bank reconciliation. So here you can see Copilot again. So if I actually want to upload a bank statement file, I can have Copilot attempt to handle the reconciliation for me. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'm actually able to download my bank statement as a CSV file. So I'm just going to go ahead and import that file. Here's my bank statement. Just drag that in, drop it. Go ahead and generate. So now it's going to import that file and attempt to reconcile any lines it can. So there it came back and said, okay, we did find 2 of your 3 lines. I can go ahead and say keep it. I could discard it if I want to do this more manually, but I'll just go ahead and say keep it. Pop open that reconciliation. So now here's what the reconciliation screen is showing me. So here's the 2 checks on here. It did match up. So the left-hand side, here's what came in through that bank statement upload. Right-hand side is everything that's been processed through Business Central. So it looks like the one line that did not get reconciled was a deposit. So I'd have to maybe do some research on that. So did it not match up? So it looks like this is probably the one here. Did not match up because of the description or my what word am I trying to figure out? The grace period. I didn't have the right grace period in here. But if these are the 2 lines here that need to match, I could actually just come in here and say, go ahead and match those manually. So now I've got all 3 lines tied to my 3 lines over here. Once this reconciliation nets out to 0, I'd be able to process it through. Finally, the last thing, part of our fast financials is reporting. So we do have some pre-built reports that we deploy as part of the implementation of our fast financials. So if I come into my financial reporting, here are all some of our default reports that we have. So we've got a 12-month statement of activities. I've got a statement of financial position, statement of financial activities here as well. This tool is something an end user can then take and build up more reports if you need to. So all this tool is really doing is it's using a row and a column to define my report for me. So if I want to look at the statement of activities here, I can pop into my row definition. So this is all my row definition is doing is I'm just defining what account numbers do I want in here. And then I do have the ability to set up formulas to create some calculations. So if I want to have sections in here, maybe I want to do some ratio analysis, be able to put that in here. I can have this also be based off of those account categories. So again, if I want to lump things up together, so as we add new account numbers, I don't have to maintain this. I'd be able to do that. If I come into my column layout, column layout is just defining what type of data do we want to bring in here. So here I just want to bring in actuals, but I could set up some additional columns where it's quarterly year to date. So I'm actually pulling each quarter into a separate column. This is also a way for me if I want to do a fund by fund analysis. I do have the ability to filter these columns to those dimensions. So if I want to have my grants across my columns, maybe my funds, maybe we do add in a program later on and I want to track that program across columns, I'm able to do that in the column layout. Once I've tied those 2 together, if I just go ahead and generate the report, just go ahead and hide these options. So there's my report to the screen. When I generate to the screen, I do have drill back capabilities on here. I could drill back, look at my revenue. This is going to show me all of my revenue accounts making up this amount. Drill back on my net change. Now I'm actually seeing the detailed transactions. Maybe this is what I want in Excel. Maybe I want to share one of these transactions through Teams to figure out, where did this grant payment come from, so on and so forth. All reports in Business Central, if I print them out, I do have the ability to send it to Excel as well. So if I do want this data in an Excel file, I certainly would be able to do that. Another option I have is because, again, Business Central is very tied into Excel, I can actually have a Excel report sitting here. So if I come into my report layouts, I've got a statement of financial position already created as an Excel file. So instead of launching it from within Business Central, I can just launch it right here in Excel. I'm going to pop open this report. And it's just going to automatically now generate as of today's date. So once I get connected, authenticated, it's still going to go through that security. Still going to make sure that, hey, can Eric run financial reports? Once it connects, though, now it is refreshing that data. So this, again, is another way for me to get some information directly out of Business Central into Excel. Finally, the last thing we have is our financial dashboards as well. So if I come back to my homepage here, got a bookmark, so I've got my financial dashboards. So this is going to give me some visualization, some snapshots of my data as well. So here I actually came right into my accounts payable report. So you can see I've actually got a pie diagram. I can see by vendor our certain balances. I can actually come down here and actually see how is it broken down by days or by aging buckets. drill down on any of these fields and I can see the amount behind that dollar amount. So I can see, we've got a couple invoices past 60 days. I want to look at that particular invoice or that amount. It's going to show me all the invoices making up that amount. So I could drill back into that document if I wanted to, click find entries if I want to see all the touch points, or I could actually initiate a payment right from here. So again, if I'm like, I got to get this thing paid, Boyer takes it by, accepts via ACH, I can actually queue up those payments. So the payments aren't actually going to process yet, but it's going to queue it up for my AP person. Again, I need security to do this. I can't just go ahead and create payments if all I'm doing is viewing transaction in the system. I can come to my accounts receivable view. Show some similar things here. So again, I've got a graph showing me our past agings by customer and by aging bucket in here as well. Move some of this over. We've also got some financial reports in here too. So if I want to, I didn't mean to back out of my dashboards. If I actually want to look at multiple financial reports on one page, I can come into my general view here. This is going to have some reconciliations for me as well, so I can make sure my AR, AP, bank account all tie out. This is giving me a quick notification that, hey, I do have an issue on this account, so I can start digging in and doing some research. So it's a way for me to stay on top of it even daily if I come into this dashboard every day. That way we're finding issues a lot quicker than at month end or year end. Can have some KPIs on here so I can actually set what my goals are. It'll compare goal to actual. And then here's where I can have some additional financial reports. I've got a statement of activities, financial positions, and I can do it by funds here as well. So right now we're only transacting through one fund, but just ways for me to have different kind of views. If I want to drill into those detailed reports, I can have the detailed reports here as well. So similar view to what I just showed you on the financial reports, but same thing here. I can drill down. Maybe I want to look at this expense account, be able to see all the accounts making up that expense, drill down on that particular balance and see all the activity behind that report. So a lot of information here. Again, this is all part of that package of Fast Financials. Our goal is really to give you an affordable way to get on Business Central quickly and be able to get you up and running as fast as possible. So with that, actually want to bring this up, Kara, if you want to kind of maybe go through what's included again.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you for that demo. Great job. And thank you everyone for attending the webinar today. As you saw in the demo, we have a defined scope that's common to many nonprofits. And this is a packaged offering that can get you started on Dynamics Business Central. The scope you saw today is a fixed fee engagement, so that starts at that $25,000 up front for the implementation of that defined scope. Then for the $3,500 per month for the following 6 months, that's where you'd work with a dedicated consultant to further enhance and tailor your system. So whatever your unique needs are, that's where we could kind of massage that and get that system more customized to your needs. So licensing for the 501c3 nonprofits for this is $336 per user per year. That's for an essential level license. So that's anybody who's posting, editing transactions, that sort of thing. If you are one of those nonprofits who doesn't qualify as the 501c3, then licensing would be $840 per user per year. So you do have to be that Microsoft approved 501c3 to get that discount. So going forward, we'll plan to follow up via email with this document here that we've got on screen as an attachment so that you can all take a closer look. And then if you did find this demo helpful and think that this package might be the right fit for you, please let me know. And I'll be happy to get on a call, get something scheduled, and we can spend some time together validating that either this package is the right fit or maybe you have other customizations and we really do need to go a more custom route rather than this kind of predefined package route. So that's all we had for you today. Thanks again for your time today and looking forward to any further conversations about this. I did share, Paul, thank you for that question in the comments. I did share the fundamentals recording. So that is different. Just wanted to take a minute to clarify that is a different offering than this. This package is going to be Core Business Central, Basic Financials, and pretty specific scope. So, but the fundamentals is an add-on. So that's an add-on to Business Central. It's a nonprofit industry specific add-on. And it does add some of those things like fund accounting, grant management, if you've got restrictions, encumbrances, anything like that. So that recording that I shared in the chat, that is that add-on. So separate from this package today. Any further questions or I see, is somebody typing? I thought I saw somebody typing in the chat, so I just wanted to give you a minute to get that question out there. Otherwise, happy to schedule a call as well. So best case, or what we would typically do is you'd schedule that initial half hour with me. We'd talk through different things, and then if it makes sense, we can pull in Eric and do further Q&A type activities to make sure that we've got that best recommendation for your organization. So we really want to make sure we're listening and we really understand your needs to decide if this package is the right fit or if we do want to go a more custom tailored route for an implementation. All right, I'm not seeing anybody typing just yet. Is there any other questions? No? All right. Well, then thank you for joining today. We really appreciate the time and questions, and please schedule a call with me if you have any further follow-up. And again, you'll get this attachment in an email, so you'll be able to follow up from there.
Thank you, everybody.